Hi, good afternoon. It's Melinda with Dreams and Destinations Travel, and today we are going to talk about a destination that's near and dear to my heart. It's my home that I grew up in, Alaska, and we have decided that we wanted to present Alaska to you with one of our favorite cruise partners in the destination, because really the best way to see Alaska is by land and by sea, and Celebrity is one of the best ways to see Alaska. So Brendan and Maria, thank you so much for partnering with us and being here today. And Brendan, I'll let you just remind me of home a little bit.
Sounds good. Well, I didn't know that you came from Melinda, Alaska. So have talk to your friends and clients about the opportunity to go to Alaska. I spent many years working there. The last 5 years I've spent working with the interior of Alaska to create our cruise tours. And it's a destination that I sincerely believe that if we can make the leap to want to experience Alaska by both land and sea, you will have fabulous, fabulous experiences. And that's what we're going to get into a little bit today. Before I do, what I want to kind of frame up and couch is for everyone to understand what are the opportunities to explore there and the way to explore it. Because I think sometimes what happens is we think about the idea of going to Alaska, and we know that Alaska is the largest U.S. state, but we think about it hanging here off the edge of the continental U.S. But when you frame that up within the confines of the lower 48, we begin to recognize how big it really is. If you were to split Alaska in two, those two pieces would be the first and second largest U.S. state, with Texas coming in third. And there's more coastline in Alaska than the East Coast, the West Coast, and the Gulf Coast combined. And in many cases, those destinations are a series of interconnected islands like Juneau and Icy Strait. They're landlocked. So how do you see the things that you want to see? How do you do the things that you want to do with a destination this vast and a coastline that is this vast and interconnected? Well, we believe that the best way to experience it is by experiencing it by cruise and land with Celebrity Cruises, which we'll get into. So this is the coastline of Alaska. This is what we call the southeastern coastline. And as you may explore Alaska, these destinations along this coastline is what is going to continually come up. Juneau, Skagway, Ketchikan, Icy Strait, Sitka. These are all some of the key ports that are offered on the southeastern coastline of Alaska. And with Celebrity Cruises, you have three opportunities to explore these destinations. Either you can do it as part of a Seattle round trip on our Solstice ship, you can on a Vancouver round trip as part of our Eclipse cruise ship, or you can do it as part of a what we call open jaw northbound, southbound sailing that is on the Millennium. That means it starts out in Vancouver and ends in Seward, or starts out in Seward and ends in Vancouver. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But this coastline is spectacular. The opportunities to explore and experience are spectacular. Certainly one of my favorites that I'll throw in there is Juneau, which is one of the fabulous destinations in the world for whales migrate down from Hawaii through the Pacific to the feeding grounds of Alaska. It's just so rare not to have amazing, one-of-a-kind whale watching experiences. And if you're lucky, you have the opportunity to see bubble net feeding, when the whales are using their blowholes to create air nets, which they feed off of the fish with. It's a fabulous, uniquely Alaskan experience, and you have those opportunities. Each of these ports of call along the way present great opportunities for wilderness and wildlife and mountains and glaciers. And you'll be experiencing these ports on a Celebrity Cruises ship. And what we are known for is new luxury, fabulous design, exceptional dining, one-of-a-kind entertainment. Experience new luxury on board and experience the wilderness as you go into the ports of call in Alaska along the way. Now, one of those destinations that you're going to experience is Hubbard Glacier. And as you explore Alaska, you hear about these glacial scenic areas of cruising. Now, there are names you may have heard of, like Glacier Bay and Hubbard Glacier and Tracy Arm Fjord and Endicott Arms. These are all glacial scenic areas of cruising. And I got seriously lucky that in my 11 years of working on board cruise ships, I got to experience all of them. And what's true for me is that they're all fabulously beautiful, but in their own individual and unique way. They have their own personalities. And the personality of Hubbard Glacier, which I want to talk about here, is that she's the most dramatic of the glacial scenic eras of cruising, because where many glacial eras are receding, she is advancing to the tune of around 30 meters per day. It creates the calvings when it collapses from the glacier into the ocean, creates the cracks and the booms, and it's dramatic and it's spectacular. Where we're sitting right now, the captain would be spinning the ship in Disenchantment Bay to get those fabulous views while an onboard naturalist is narrating the experience. It's an awesome day. But really, any of those glacial scenic eras of cruising that you coastline of Alaska will provide you that fabulous experience. The ship that we utilize for our cruise tours is the Celebrity Millennium. So a cruise tour is a combination of a cruise and a land tour that we'll get into, but the Celebrity Millennium does our open jaw sailings. Now, a few years ago, we started on a project which called Revolution, where we were revolutionizing some of our older fleet. Celebrity Millennium was first up. 2019, we spent $75 million to the studs so we could offer many of the amenities and the experiences and the overall ambiance that you get in our Revolutionary Edge class of ship that we launched a couple of years ago. This is a fabulous opportunity to experience new luxury on an open jaw sailing in Alaska. And what that open jaw sailing allows you to do is the opportunity to explore the interior of Alaska. Now, you can see here on the map, this is the southeastern coastline, but as you get to Seward, the Kenai Peninsula, the destination where Alaskans go to play, what that creates is the opportunity to further explore into the interior of Alaska. And you can see that rail line that stretches up from Seward up into the interior of Alaska. It creates the opportunity to visit those destinations. Unless you are embarking or debarking the ship in Seward, unfortunately, you don't have the opportunity to go into the interior. So Solstice and Millennium, round trip sailings, no cruise tours. Millennium would create the opportunity for those cruise tours. And a cruise tour is just a combination of two things, which is a 7-night northbound sailing, which is combined with a 2 to 6 night Celebrity Cruises land tour experience into the interior of Alaska to create 9 to 13 night cruise tours. And as you travel into the interior of Alaska, you get to experience some of these magical destinations. Seward, sometimes thought of as the place where you embark and debark the ship, but no. Again, this is the Kenai Peninsula, the Kenai mountain ranges cascading as part of glacial formations down into the ocean. You have access to Kenai Fjords National Park and Resurrection Bay. This is a beautiful, beautiful destination. As you go to ALYESKA, the 7 hanging glaciers and the Chugach mountain range, such a fabulous wilderness destination. Anchorage is the most populous city in the interior of Alaska, but more moose within the city limits than people. Surrounded by the wilderness, great opportunity to stroll the Tony Nose Coastal Trail or visit one of the fabulous brewery or dining scenes that Anchorage has to offer. Talkeetna, known as the destination at the end of the road where nothing is beyond it except Denali, the tallest peak in North America. Some of the fabulous views that you can really get of Denali come from Talkeetna, and then Denali National Park, the 6 million acres of pristine and wild and wonderful land. And then Fairbanks, gates to the Arctic, home of Aurora Borealis. All of this is in the interior of Alaska. All of this can be experienced, but if you as part of a 2 to 6 night Celebrity Cruises land tour that is then paired with your northbound, southbound sailing on the Millennium. So I think what a great question is to be able to answer as you explore this is, why a cruise tour, right? Why not just the Alaska cruise? Well, it is true that for each of the experiences that you're probably thinking of right now as this is what I need to have in order to have an amazing vacation and experience in Alaska. I need wilderness, I need wildlife, I need mountains, I need glaciers. Each of them is delivered spectacularly as part of a cruise, but each of them is elevated as part of a cruise tour. When you think about wilderness, well, tremendous opportunities for wilderness on the coastline, for flying amongst the Misty Fjords mountain ranges surrounded by the Tongass National Forest. That's an amazing wilderness experience. but it's elevated when you go into the interior of Alaska and you can stand in national parks and just be surrounded by nothing but nature. When you think of wildlife, the opportunities on the coastline of orcas and sea lions and bulls, it's all there. When you go into the interior of Alaska, you have the opportunity for the big five: the moose, the caribou, the grizzlies, the Dall sheep, and the wolves. And when you think about the mountains, those Kenai mountain ranges that I spoke about will take your breath away. But when we think of mountains in Alaska, we think of only one, which is Denali, the tallest peak in North America, and that is over 377 miles from the coastline. Now, those glaciers get as part of any cruise only or cruise tour experience, but each of these experiences would be elevated as part of experiencing Alaska by both land and sea. So what's included on the land component of your cruise tour? Well, we talked about those new luxury experiences that you have on board our Celebrity Cruises cruise ships, but while on board land, while you are on land, there are three components of the cruise tours that are included, which is lodges and service and transportation. Remember, you're here for 2 to 6 nights. So lodges, service, and transportation is included as part of that. And what we love about the luxury cruise is that it begins with the destination. We want to take you to the best destinations in the interior of Alaska to have the most fabulous experiences. And then we select the finest available property in that destination. Great example is Hotel ALYESKA, bottom left, right-hand side, fabulous luxury resort, 4 diamond-star restaurant at the top of Alyeska Mountain, beautiful heated saltwater swimming pools that look out over lush valleys. It is just incredible. Talkeetna Alaskan Lodge, just 5 away from Talkeetna, but check out those views. That's right from the back of Talkeetna Alaskan Lodge. That's the Alaska mountain range. Towering above it is Denali. Gets you some great local experiences, but also those fabulous views as well. And then Denali Park Village is just a 12-minute complimentary transfer away from the gates of Denali National Park, surrounded by the Alaska mountain range, the Nenana River flowing by, fire pits on the outside, fabulous property to have that national park experience. Our drive is to take you to the best destination, to have the most exceptional experiences, and then select the finest property available in that destination. Now, while you're doing this, you are going to be on a fully escorted experience with a local tour guide. This means someone who comes from Alaska or lives in Alaska but has that deep connection with Alaska. When you fly into the interior of Alaska, you're met by one person who is your local tour guide, and they will introduce you to your dedicated motor coach driver who will show you your dedicated deluxe motor coach. Every single Celebrity Cruises Alaska cruise tours offer this. So when you are in the interior of Alaska, you have that person to ask, where's the freshest halibut at the beginning of the season? You have the motor coach driver to transfer your luggage from the motor coach to the hotel room and the hotel room back down to the motor coach. It is a seamless experience to explore the interior of Alaska. And then the rail experiences. These are the Wilderness Express rail carriages, and they're just fabulous. 80 persons up top, luxury, wide, well-apportioned, leather seating, bar service available of the seats. What you're not seeing here is a 40-person white linen silver service, freshly prepared meals available for purchase down below those beautiful domed roofs in order to get some exceptional views and scenery as you're trundling through segment, a minimum of a rail segment of 3 to 5 hours. Some of our cruise tours have multiple rail segments. Some of our cruise tours are almost exclusively traveling by rail for the duration of the cruise tour. So you can really pick and choose what is the length and duration of rail experiences that you want as part of that cruise tour experience. But every single Alaska cruise tour includes rail as part of your cruise tour experiences. What's included on the land component of a Celebrity Cruises cruise tour? Well, it's those lodges, service, transportation, but also included experiences. So think of these kind of now, a couple of my favorites there, Riverboat Discovery, and the Resurrection Bay Wildlife Cruise, 50-mile round trip on the Kenai Peninsula. Great opportunity for whales and bald eagles and orcas. But some of the experiences that you may have heard of are the tours into Denali National Park, which could either be the Tundra Wilderness Tour or the Denali Natural History Tour. Now, in Denali National Park, there's only one road that goes into it. It's 92 miles long. And when you hear names like Denali Natural History Tour or Tundra Wilderness, just far down that road you go. The shorter tour goes about 30 miles into the park. The longer tour goes about 60 miles into the park. And the longer that you're there, the more opportunities, right, that you have for those wilderness and wildlife experiences. But every single celebrity cruise tour includes, at a minimum, a tour into a Denali National Park. But most of our cruise tours include an array of included experiences that are on top of that as well. These are our 2021 Alaska cruise tours. We have a fabulous range that goes from a 9 to a 13-night experience. Alaska, again, that's a 7-night Alaska cruise that's combined with a 2 to 6 night land tour into the interior of Alaska. And you can see here, as part of the lengths of cruise tours that we offer, that you got some similar destinations there, right? On our 9 and 10 night cruise tours, for the land component, you have the opportunity to visit Fairbanks, Denali, Talkeetna, and Anchorage. On our 11-night cruise tour, same destinations, but now add in ALYESKA. 12-night cruise tour, same destinations, but add in SEWARD. And it just stands to reason that the longer that you're with us in the interior of Alaska, the more opportunity that we have to take you places and to show things and to have those experiences. And I think what's so important to remember about Alaska is that it is the quintessentially natural destination. It's not Disney World. The bears will be there if they want to, and they won't if they won't. And the clouds will rise from Denali, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But the longer you go to Alaska for, the more opportunities that you create for yourself for those magical, natural moments to happen. The longer that you go for, the more opportunities that you create for those magical, natural moments. It's not to start out necessarily by looking individually from cruise tour to cruise tour. My recommendation is to have a conversation with your wife or your husband or your friends or your family and say, how long can we commit to having an amazing vacation experience in Alaska? Then talk to Melinda, and she can show you some fabulous options that will be exceptional just for you. Great place to start the conversation, and it's really what will help you deliver on a fabulous vacation experience. I'm going to say a quick one about this because I have control of the slides and nobody can stop me. I'm super excited about this. You probably heard how enthusiastic I am about the Kenai Peninsula. Because it is just so breathtaking. Every year I go, multiple times a year. I stand in SEWARD and I just cannot believe it is that beautiful. It is one of those destinations. Now, Homer is on the other side of the Kenai Peninsula. And Homer is just fabulous. What you're looking at here is the Homer Spit that struts out into Kachemak Bay, which was the first designated national park first natural park that was designated in Alaska. The raw beauty of it is incredible. Dining opportunities, beautiful beaches, and of course, great art galleries as well. And it really creates the opportunity as well to take the local ferries across to, for example, Sedobio, which is the more remote communities, which I love to do. This is brand new for us to 2021. We've got 2 overnights in Homer on our brand new cruise tour, the Homer Discovery, which is cruise tour number 10. So check it out if you're looking for somewhere of breathtaking experiences and a more raw experience as you go to Alaska. Let me finish up with this because this is a cool offer for anybody that's booking a cruise tour with Melinda up through December, early part of December. But the Alaska Wild Wonders cruise tour offer includes currently our brand offer, which is free drinks for everybody in the stateroom, and then savings of up to $500 per person. But then also, if it's a cruise tour, you get an additional $200 onboard credit for the stateroom as well. Something that we find about cruise tours is that you have to recognize that our limitation is not capacities big. Our limitation is the rail and hotel capacity, which is much smaller than a ship. So they do tend to get booked further out. People do tend to be booking them further out. Really now is the time to be exploring your air, exploring your opportunities, talking to Melinda, and seeing about placing a deposit down on a Celebrity Cruises cruise tour in order to guarantee that offer. All right, I'm going to hand it back over to you, Melinda.
Brendan, thank you so much. And I am so excited about Homer because I've got to tell you, one of my favorite Alaska memories was a family vacation to Homer. We stayed at Lands and Resort there at the end of the spit. And you can't even begin to just describe how breathtaking looking over the bay to the mountains are. I mean, 30 years later, it's still one of my favorite memories. So the Homer edition is very exciting for me. And for any of our fishermen, also exciting because some of the best salmon and halibut fishing that you'll do in Alaska will be there in Homer. So thank you so much for taking time to just talk about a place that's near and dear to my heart. And thank you so much for being such a great partner for Dreams and Destinations.
You got it. Well, thank you, Melinda. And to everyone out there who is watching, above all, just to Alaska. It is such a beautiful destination, and it will truly create some exceptional memories for you and your families that you will never forget.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.